The gunshots didn't echo. They were swallowed by the silence of the house. One, two, then two more. By the time the neighbors came running, the front door stood wide open, like the home itself had finally given up its last secret. Inside, 4 bodies lay still. A woman, 2 daughters, and the man they had once called Uncle Dempsey. All of them shot at close range. All of them discovered in the same room. All of them executed by the same man, their own husband, their own father. He didn't run. He didn't cry. He just waited. Sometimes the monsters we fear aren't strangers in the dark, but the men who sit silently at the dinner table watching, waiting. The actions in this story are not only disturbing, they are deeply condemnable. No betrayal, no secret, no sin justifies the cold-blooded murder of one's own family. This is true crime's altar, where morality meets murder, and every sin demands its sacrifice. He had once stood at attention for presidents, commanded troops in foreign war zones, made decisions that shaped entire campaigns. But now, Leonard Grayson stood in the backyard of his quiet suburban home, watering the tomato vines, his uniform long packed away. He no longer carried a weapon, no longer gave orders. But the discipline, that never left him. The house looked normal from the outside. A woman's laughter carried faintly from the kitchen. 2 younger voices chimed in, one sarcastic, the other melodic, teasing. A family, whole. That's what it looked like. Leonard tilted the hose to rinse the dirt from his hands, then glanced through the kitchen window. They hadn't noticed him. Good. He studied the way they moved, Elena wiping down the counter while chatting, Isabel scrolling on her phone, Grace humming along to a song he didn't recognize. They looked peaceful, but something inside him tightened. That same stillness he had felt once in Kandahar, moments before a roadside bomb had gone off. Peace could be deceiving. That evening, they ate dinner like any other. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, chatter about Grace's college applications and Isabel's part-time job at the pharmacy. Elena talked about organizing a neighborhood fundraiser. He nodded at all the right times, smiled when prompted. But beneath the table, his foot tapped a silent rhythm. War drums. "I saw Dempsey today," Elena said casually. "He asked if we're still good for Sunday." "Sunday?" Leonard asked. "The neighborhood wine tasting. You forgot?" He hadn't forgotten. He just didn't like Dempsey. "I'll pass," he said, taking a sip of water. "He talks too much." Grace giggled. "He's just friendly, Dad. He used to teach English, remember?" "I remember." Leonard stared into his plate. "I also remember him showing up here more than I ever asked him to." No one spoke for a moment. It is in the small silences, not the loud arguments, that cracks in a family begin to form. And once they appear, they never truly heal. That night, Leonard sat in his study, pretending to read. But his mind replayed the day's conversations. Dempsey. Always Dempsey. He had a way of slipping into the house even when Leonard wasn't home. He came bearing wine, poetry books, compliments. He knew how to make women laugh and how to stay just long enough to be forgettable. But Leonard never forgot anything. The next morning, Leonard left early, told Elena he had errands across town. Instead, he sat parked at the end of the street. At 9:43 a.m., Dempsey pulled into the driveway, a bag in hand. He didn't knock, just walked in. By noon, he hadn't left. Leonard didn't go home until sunset. He said nothing about it at dinner, just listened. That week, it happened twice more. On Saturday, Leonard installed a small camera near the front entrance, hidden, just in case. But the camera would not capture what he feared, not yet. Instead, he caught smaller moments. Dempsey brushing Elena's hand too long as he passed her the wine opener. Isabel laughing at something he whispered. Grace twirling her hair, eyes darting away when Leonard entered the room. Small, subtle, but no soldier ever ignored a pattern. Late one night, Leonard walked the hallway alone. A soft sound stopped him. Music, faint and rhythmic. He followed it to Grace's room. Her door was closed, but light leaked beneath it. Then he heard it, a man's voice. Not loud, not clear, but undeniably male. He didn't knock, didn't barge in, just stood there, listening, until the music ended, until silence returned. The next morning, Grace was quiet, her eyes swollen as if she'd cried. Isabel made pancakes, humming to herself. Elena stood by the sink, arms crossed, expression distant. Leonard took his coffee black. No one asked him why he looked like he hadn't slept. There are homes that rot from the outside in, but the most tragic are those that decay from the heart outward, quietly, invisibly, until only a shell remains. Days passed, and with them, a deepening unease. Leonard noticed Isabel sneaking glances at her phone, Grace locking her door, Elena growing colder in bed, and Dempsey. Dempsey was always around, always welcome. On Thursday, Leonard came home early. He entered through the garage, heard laughter from the den. As he walked past, he saw them, Elena, Isabel, Grace, and Dempsey. All seated close, too close, drinking wine, watching some old French movie. He lingered behind the wall. That line, Dempsey said, voice low, always gives me chills. She knew the fire would consume her, but she walked him anyway. The girls giggled. Elena murmured something too soft to hear. Leonard didn't walk in. He just turned away, went upstairs, locked the bedroom door behind him. A man can survive betrayal on the battlefield, but betrayal in the bedroom, that's a different war. One without rules, one without honor. That night, he dreamed of the desert, of landmines, of silence before the blast. He woke up sweating. And outside his window, the street was quiet, except for the faint sound of Dempsey's engine purring in the driveway. That Sunday afternoon, the sun hung low behind the trees, casting long shadows across the neighborhood. Leonard stood by the upstairs window, watching as cars lined up along the curb. Laughter echoed from the backyard. He saw Dempsey arrive in a navy linen shirt, holding a wine bottle like a prized artifact. Elena met him at the gate, touched his arm. Her hand lingered too long. Grace was already outside, arranging glasses. Isabel stood off to the side, hair pinned up, smiling, but not at her father, never at him anymore. Leonard didn't join the gathering. He sat in his study, windows cracked open, just enough to hear. "Your dad not coming out?" Dempsey asked with that effortless charm. "He's not much for crowds," Grace replied. "He's not much for anything these days," Elena added too quietly. Laughter, glasses clinking. Leonard closed his eyes. Later that night, after everyone had gone, he went downstairs. The place was spotless, almost too clean. He opened the fridge, 3 bottles of wine, unopened, no sign of food, no dishes in the sink. "Where'd you eat?" he asked calmly. "We cleaned up," Elena said without looking at him. "Didn't want to leave a mess." "Nice of him to bring wine." "Who?" "Dempsey." She hesitated. "He's generous. He brought dessert, too." Leonard nodded. "He always does." Sometimes betrayal doesn't kick down the door. It tiptoes in through acts of kindness until you're too far gone to notice the rot. Over the next week, things shifted again. Subtle, but undeniable. Grace stayed out late. Isabel started locking her bedroom door. Elena took more walks, alone. Once, Leonard came home to find Dempsey's jacket on the armrest of the living room sofa. "He forgot it," Elena said quickly. "He only stayed a minute." He said nothing, just stared at the jacket. That night, he moved into the guest bedroom. No one asked why. The next day, Leonard went into town, visited a small electronics shop, paid cash, bought a listening device, tiny, voice-activated. He installed it in the hallway lamp that evening, while the girls were watching a movie. He didn't do it in anger. He did it with precision, with calm, like setting a perimeter around a base that had already been breached. The device recorded silence for 2 days. Then, on a Tuesday evening, it caught something. "I told you he's starting to notice," Isabel whispered. Grace replied, "Then we need to be more careful. I don't want to lie to him anymore." Elena's voice cut in, sharper. "You don't have a choice. He's our father, Mom. He's dangerous." There was silence. Then Dempsey's voice, cool, unhurried. "He's also old-school military, the kind that won't ask twice. Keep smiling. Keep pretending. Don't give him a reason to start asking questions." Leonard played the recording 3 times, then saved it to a flash drive. He didn't sleep that night. Secrets are like pressure in a sealed tank. You don't hear them building until the explosion is already upon you. He began watching patterns, timetables. Dempsey came every other day now, sometimes for minutes, other times over an hour, always when Leonard wasn't home. Once, Leonard returned earlier than expected, pulled into the driveway. Dempsey's car was already there. Elena was in the kitchen, startled. Dempsey emerged from the hallway moments later, adjusting his sleeve. "We were just talking about the fundraiser," she offered quickly. "In the hallway?" No answer. Leonard didn't press. He just walked upstairs, sat at the foot of his bed, breathing steady, wrists resting on his knees. He thought about Afghanistan, the boy with the bomb strapped to his chest. The moment Leonard had hesitated because he saw his son's eyes in that boy's face. That moment had cost a man his life. Hesitation always costs something. On Thursday, Leonard began clearing the attic, told Elena he wanted to declutter. Really, he was gathering documents, photos, audio files, backup drives, everything Dempsey might have touched, every trace of what this man had left in his home. He found a note tucked inside one of Isabel's college books. The handwriting wasn't hers. "It's not wrong if it's love. Don't let him shame you for what we share." No signature. He folded it, placed it in his wallet. That night, he asked Isabel how school was going. She looked surprised. "It's fine. You seem distracted lately." "I'm not." "You lock your door a lot." She stared at him. "Do you check?" "No," he said, "but I hear." She stood. "I have homework." Leonard watched her walk away. The next day, Leonard followed Elena. She left around noon, said she was meeting a friend. He parked a block away, watched as she met Dempsey outside a small cafe. They didn't go inside, just talked. Close. Too close. At one point, Dempsey placed his hand on her waist. Leonard drove home in silence. He didn't mention it at dinner. Just watched her move around the kitchen like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't just given another man permission to touch what was never his. That night, he opened a locked drawer in his study. Inside, a journal, war notes, personal reflections. But he turned to a blank page and began writing again. It wasn't a confession. It was a record, one the world would one day understand. Leonard stood, went to the safe in the study. The revolver hadn't been touched in years. Until now. A heart betrayed is dangerous, but a soldier betrayed is deliberate. He doesn't rush, he calculates. That afternoon, Grace was in her room, headphones on. Isabel was giggling on the phone. Elena returned with a Tupperware full of something Dempsey had made. The home smelled like another man. Leonard cleaned the gun at midnight. Slowly, carefully. A cloth, the way his father taught him. He loaded it, one round at a time. He didn't plan to use it yet, but he knew he would. The next 2 days were quiet. Too quiet, as if the house held its breath. Then Wednesday came. A storm in the forecast. Electricity flickering. And Leonard heard it. A laugh. Not a daughter's. Not Elena's. A man's. Upstairs. He moved like shadow up the staircase. Slow, controlled. The door to Grace's room cracked open. Inside, a twisted tableau of betrayal. Elena, Grace, Isabel, and Dempsey. On the same bed. Frozen. The gasp that left Grace's throat could have broken glass. Dad, Isabel screamed. Elena lunged forward. Leonard, wait. He didn't shout. He didn't flinch. The revolver rose like a gavel. First bullet, Dempsey. Right between the eyes. Second, Elena. She clutched her chest, gasping. Leonard, please. He hesitated. She reached out. The third shot silenced her. Isabel tried to run, screaming, crying. Grace shielded her. He didn't shoot him yet. Not yet. He walked to the door, locked it from the inside. They begged, pleaded. Told him they were manipulated. Told him they didn't know. Told him he was still their father. He looked at them one last time. Your mother gave you to him, he said. But I will not bear you with his stain. The fourth shot, Grace. She collapsed without a word. Isabel screamed, shaking violently. She crawled to Grace, sobbing. Leonard stood over her. She looked up at him. Please. He hesitated. A flicker of something behind his eyes. Then, darkness.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
When the neighbors called 911, they reported gunshots. Then silence. Police arrived. Front door was locked. No one answered. When they broke in, they found the scene as if staged for judgment. 4 bodies. No blood spatter in the hallways. No sign of struggle. The revolver was on the table. Leonard wasn't among them. He had vanished. Detectives swept the area. Helicopters scanned the woods. Bloodhounds caught his scent, then lost it. Inside the home, they found his journal. Dozens of entries. He documented the grooming, the manipulation, the silence, the shame. One entry read, I begged her to protect them. Instead, she offered them like coins at a slot machine. And Dempsey played till the machine broke. Investigators confirmed Dempsey had no living family, no known will. All his possessions, including disturbing videos and texts, were found locked in a basement safe. Leonard Turner was still missing. His face flooded local broadcasts, then national ones, then nothing. Every rumor made it worse. He's in the hills, living off the land. He turned himself in secretly. He drowned himself in the quarry. No confirmation ever came. Detective Mila Rosales sat in her office reading the journal again. She'd read it 9 times already. It didn't excuse him, but it explained him. There, in scrawled ink, was a man betrayed in every room he once felt safe. A man who had begged, reasoned, wept in silence. And when silence wasn't enough, he chose noise. deadly noise. A man who saw himself as protector, but died as executioner. It was 6 months later that Leonard was found. Or rather, what was left of him. Deep in the forest, near a dried-out creek, hunters stumbled on skeletal remains. A rusted revolver lay beside him. Dental records confirmed it. He had taken his own life. Autopsy revealed he died only days after the murders. He had written one final note, never mailed, but folded neatly in his coat pocket. I kept my word. I protected them. From him. From themselves. I pray God sees me. The world did not judge kindly. Some called him a monster. Others, a broken hero. But truth rarely fits into headlines. The case was officially closed. But its weight never left the town. The house was abandoned. No one wanted to live there. Not even after renovation, as if the foundation itself was soaked in sorrow. And Dempsey, investigators uncovered more. Other girls, other families, other lives destroyed. He'd never been reported, never been questioned, because no one ever spoke. And that silence cost lives. Evil doesn't always wear horns. Sometimes it smiles from across the fence, bearing fruit pies and hollow promises. To everyone watching this story, if you're ever caught in a web of blackmail, manipulation, or unspoken pain, choose help, not silence. Walk away. Report it. Tell someone. Even in the darkest rooms, there is light, but only if you reach for it. Violence is never justice. Murder is never love. Leonard could have walked away. Could have screamed. Could have begged the law to help. But instead, he wrote his judgment in gunfire. This is True Crimes Altar, where we remember the victims, uncover the darkness, and reflect on the heavy price of betrayal. If this story moved you, tell us what you think in the comments. Would you have seen the signs? What do you believe justice should have looked like? Drop your thoughts below. Tell us where you're watching from, your city, your country. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and tap the bell so you never miss another true story that cuts to the bone. Until next time, stay safe. Stay watchful. And always choose light.